Hello everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to show yet another analysis of what we call multi-timeframe analysis in MTPredictor, and that's where we look to trade in the direction of the higher or larger degree time frame. A great example is just unfolded on the DAX this morning, and also I'd like to look at this because it has some other added confirmation indicators coming in at the same time as well to give you added confidence. Firstly, I'd like to remind you that for more experienced MTPredictor users, we don't look at our STF color, which is our old trend indicator we have on the chart here. It's because it's a lagging indicator like all other indicators, and we want to have something on the chart that's leading on the chart in advance and has you or gives you areas of support and resistance before the market even gets there. So I want to have a look at this DP buy at basically the low on the DAX this morning. So what do we do? Well, before that had even got there, you would have been on the 15-minute chart. So let's go back, let's use our training mode, let's jump back to when the market was say around here and show you what we do. We go back to previous pivots, and you can see there's a fairly significant pivot here from the previous day, which is Friday. So if we right mouse click, we place the DP on, and that gives you a support zone. There's also another minor pivot here, so people say, well, which pivots do we use for support? Well, let's put these both on and let's see, because the idea being isn't that you don't just trade just willy-nilly off the higher time frame support zones. You use that as guidance, and then you trade off the patterns on the shorter time frame when they fall in in sync with the higher time frame. So we've got these two levels on, so you can see what I've done. There's the last minor pivot low there. Here's the next pivot low back here. So I'll just turn training mode off. I'll go back to our 3-minute chart and see what happened as the markets came down to these levels. In fact, let's just use training mode so you can see what's happening as we go. So we hadn't reached this level. We come down into this level. There was a DP buy here. So we could say, well, yes, let's place the analysis on. The analysis gives us a potential trade of 2.1R, so this could be a potential trade because it's unfolding at high time frame support. Let's move forward. Market now goes down and takes the low out. You see what happened there? It took the low out of the previous bar before taking the high out. In other words, it took the stop level out before the entry level. So in other words, the trade setup on the previous bar was invalidated before it was filled, so there'd be no trade. That's why we remove some setups in MTPredictor, only the ones that are invalidated before they're confirmed. In other words, you wouldn't be in a trade setup, so there's no point keeping the analysis on the chart for you. Let's clear that off. Let's keep going forward. We're going forward. Nothing's happening now. We're getting close to the next support zone. We have the support zone hit there. Is there any reason to want to just buy at that level? Well, we haven't got any particular setup here. We haven't got any particular reason to want to buy on the shorter term chart just because it's reached a higher time frame support zone. Market goes up a little bit, goes up a little bit, goes sideways, goes up a little bit, and then suddenly zips back down. Now this is quite interesting because if I look at the volume, this gives us a high volume VSA spike. This is an indication that the market is making some unusual volume as it's going down to new lows here. New lows particularly just below the previous low at DP support. Now that is an indication that there's something going on in this bar here. So suddenly you want to be slightly interested what's going to happen in the next bar. If we also right mouse click, do Elliott wave intermediate, can you see also we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We know that a 5-wave sequence is probably a trend termination sequence, and as such we want to be wary that we could be getting towards a low. But of course the important thing is not just this because this is an end of 5-wave sequence, and just not because you've had high volume, but this is all unfolding and all happening at higher time frame support. Remember, this was on the chart in advance. Let's go forward another bar. Suddenly we see an automatic DP buy setup appear. I'll just take the Elliott wave sequence off now because we know that's a 5-wave sequence. So suddenly you have an automatic DP buy, but the most important thing is it's unfolding at higher time frame support. Remember, this will probably be against a red STF because remember this is lagging, and of course the DP support was on the chart in advance. So do you see why this is a good setup to take? Because the setup on the shorter time frame has come in at higher time frame support. Let's place the analysis on. There's the trade target for a potential 2.2R profit. But what I also liked about this, again, is added confirmation that we know that the previous bar was on high volume VSA spike or VS spike coming in on that red bar there. We know that if the next bar fails to follow through, in other words, the market fails to make new lows and reverses, it means the professionals are now entering the market and looking to go long. So that gives you added confirmation that this DP buy setup is backed up by professional buying. And we also know, if I right mouse click, do the Elliott wave intermediate, that's the end of a 5-wave sequence as well. So do you see how I'm piecing everything together to give a higher reliability or a higher confidence trade setup? First and foremost, if I clear everything off, we have the shorter time frame setup at the higher time frame support. We then have other things coming in at the same time as well, in this case volume and pattern. Let's right mouse click, put the analysis on, and let's see how the market's unfolded since. I'll turn training mode off, but I'll just get rid of that DP support zone there because we don't need it. And as you can see, the market's gone from this level up to the first target where a lovely 2.2R profit was available. Because this was professionals coming in other words, this might well be the start of a larger move, because professionals tend to move the market further. This market may well continue on higher. But at the very least, we've gone to the first target there where a plus 2.2R profit was available. Remember, we use correct position sizing. In this particular case, I'm using a 30,000 British pound account with an initial risk of less than 2%. So I just wanted to go through this video today to show you how we do the multi-time frame analysis in MTPredictor and how we look at the shorter term setups but in conjunction with the larger degree picture. And I just want to show you how easy that is in MTPredictor, because we have our larger time frame support and resistance zones on the chart in advance. They're ready, and then when you move down to the shorter time frame charts, they're left there. And also, just to go over a little bit of added confidence in this particular trade setup, because of the VS, the volume spike, and also the 5-wave sequence going down there as well. Other tools in MTPredictor to help you gauge more confidence in your trade setups. So the result was a nice 2.2R profit, with the low coming in there absolutely perfectly at our automatic DP buy setup.